Okay, so natural selection. I'm only using my mouse tonight, so bear with me. Try to do this writing as good as I can, but 7 principles. Let's make a little tree chart here. So natural selection and draw it out. Yeah. So we got variation. Got um, over reproduction. Over production. We got adaptations. So adaptations. We definitely have inheritance. We see hair. We see offspring looking like their parents. Got mutations. We have change over time. Change over time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I got differential reproduction. So I'll write it big here since I got some space. Differential reproduction. So you remember variation, we have differences. All species aren't all the same. You got variation like in people, dogs. So we see those differences. Those are really important to drive natural selection. Over reproduction, all species make way too many offspring or way too many seeds. There's no way we'd survive, this plant would survive if every single one of them was born and came to fruition and then reproduced. Adaptations, we see different species having qualities that help them survive in their environment, like fishes, their fins, their shape, their gills, birds, the shape of their wings, being lightweight, those bones. Humans, our hands, being able to manipulate tools and things that we use to make our life easier. Walking upright, adaptation for walking over bare ground and not through trees. Inheritance, we see offspring look like their parents. Mutations, uh, random changes in DNA take place or occur. Change over time as you go through, especially fossil record of things like horses and armadillos. You see those changes. In differential reproduction, not all organisms reproduce as much as others. So some reproduce more than others, and they leave more genes behind. So Darwin observed that there's all this variation. He's like, why is all this variation here? It doesn't really make sense to have it if you don't have natural selection and evolution. So basically, it provides a way for some to survive, have favors survival over others. Survival. That's not like in a mean way or a negative way, but conditions change, so you want to have differences. Um, and we see here, we look at all these different kind of shells on these snails, subtle differences in the color, in the pattern, and this is variation. This is one single species. So say if the sand changed or the mud changed where these snails live, there'd be some color here that would work with whatever change occurred. So, or some predator evolved differently, it would be able to keep up. Mutation, the original source of all variations. And meiosis is important. You probably learned from Mr. Chalker. Um, Combining different alleles, getting further shuffling. So new combinations, we've got random distribution of them during the process of meiosis. And remember, this is only happening in the gametes. You don't have meiosis anywhere else. Just the gametes, so like the ovaries and the testes. Oops. For males there. And we got, I'll show you a diagram, show an independent assortment. And we got something called crossing over. So crossing over happens in meiosis in prophase 1. We'll get into that more later, but that's something you need to know. Everything really happens in prophase 1. And then fertilization adds even more. You take this one egg that's had so many different combinations occur through meiosis, and then you throw it in with another cell, which is a sperm, that's had countless more different combinations, and it creates a whole lot of new combinations. But we'll look very carefully. Here is the crossing over. And as you can tell, what was once all blue now has these little bits of red, and the red has little bits of blue. So you got new combinations, new combos, and that could equal new traits. Taking the information, switching it up. So now look, we got, and what we comment here, we got a brand new combination. So a new combination of genes here. And that could or couldn't really affect how that organism works. So we see the original, just look at all the letters involved. Right here we see a difference. So that's a new letter. Or actually, it's a better way, it's a change letter. It's not a new one. There's always a letter there, but it used to be a T, now it's a C. So a T changes to a C. And whether that makes a difference may or may not, but it could. It could also do nothing. So it could what we call a silent mutation. You have a change in letter, nothing happens. How do these different types of flies come about? And these are different. Remember the word phenotype. So that's the appearance. Phenotype, what it appears like. And guess how do they all come about? Mutations. Okay, all the different structures came about through mutation. And then if you have shuffling of genes, you can get more combinations of those genes. So we'll say shuffling. And that could be independent assortment, um, or you could have crossing over to do that for you. Or, so independent assortment, crossing over, fertilization. So, sorry so sloppy, but independent assortment, crossing over, fertilization. And so this is what we're talking about, independent assortment here. I'll just abbreviate it like that, independent assortment. Here we had, say, the father's genes. So this person, say this is the father, these were his dad's genes, and this was the mother's genes, or the chromosomes. And they get separated. The dad's over here, the mom's over here. Say this is the mother. Their chromosomes, the dad switched sides. See how this kind of, see this one flipped? It's just opposite of what you had here. So in this case, you had these two go together, and then in this case you had these two go together. So that's a new combination right here. New combination. We got these two. And it just adds to our variation. And look at, so this is all these different combinations that came to make this egg. All these sperm represent more different combinations, and 70 trillion different diploid combinations just from crossing over.